is, what's our first item? We have two items. Review of Q2 financial report and looking at the updated capital asset guide. So Jessica, I have a couple questions on the financial report, but why don't you go ahead?
So my biggest question, and Mark and Sarah, maybe you guys can both kind of give us some guidance as to what to expect. I know this is for second quarter, but I think that postage and the numbers for the changes in how elections are done were pretty striking for first quarter. Any ideas on what we can expect going forward? And is there any help, maybe?
Sure, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's one of the things that I tried to cover on the first page of the memo inside of the cover memo. And yeah, it's going to be hard to project exactly where we're going to end up as we go through these different election cycles. But we do have roads to recovery aid in excess of $200,000 benchmark specifically for the village of Shorewood. I know Sarah has already submitted the elections, a special grant to the state for elections, and we've actually received over $10,000 already on that. So yes, there should be significant aid for excess expenditures. I don't think that there's going to be much that we can do for lost revenues, but on the expenditure side, we're expecting to recover substantial portions of that.
So is that that reimbursement, is that above and beyond the figures that you highlighted? Like, are those reimbursements? So that's, the reimbursements are, I'm just trying to understand that that's before, like, or is that after?
But they're not factored in here, right,
Okay,
Mark?
That's correct.
Okay.
You know, it's just our gross costs are factored in the memo. Reimbursements, once we process them, will be supplemental revenue, which will offset some of those costs and will have a positive impact compared to what you've seen here.
I had a related question as to whether, I know we had a discussion that our expenses for poll workers would go down, but I can't remember if we put that in, if we already accounted for that in the 2020 budget or not. I thought we were going to wait and see one election and how it went, and then we would have some idea of what the poll worker expenses were going to be.
Yeah, if Sarah and you jump in, but I'm thinking it was 2 years ago that we had new rates of pay for the stipends for poll workers. And, you know, the 2020 budget, you know, the first election, obviously there's a lot of poll workers who didn't participate in that. We committed a substantial amount of staff resources, particularly in the planning department, as well as library personnel. So those costs are still in those departments. We're going to look at and evaluate how those costs relate to some of the grant opportunities. But in the clerk's budget, you know, the poll workers, I'm thinking are still going to be below budget in 2020. Sarah, do you have anything to add to that?
Not too much, just that, yes, they should probably be down, especially with combining the two polling places now for August and November. I mean, there's still, there will be more people at central count processing ballots, but our polling locations will be staffed fairly minimally. And not that it's a ton of money, but you know, we are not supplying them lunch anymore either because they can't share food. So that's, you know, it's a couple $1,000s that, you know, when you're looking for money, will not be spent on something like that. So yes, the wages for poll workers will probably be down this year as opposed to a normal year with large elections.
Well, I mean, I'm looking on what page am I on? 15, and they're at about 35% for the year. So, but there's 3 elections this year, right? So,
Four. So that would be with 2 already.
Oh.
So, you
Oh,
know,
okay.
2 more, yeah.
oh, okay. So they are down then.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So that's like $10,000 then, $8,000 to $10,000 in savings.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that helps. Yeah, that was one of my questions. I had, did you have another one, Jessica? I had one on the, you know, we're talking about the police organizational study, and I know we budgeted 30,000 this year in capital, but that was for the DPW study, correct?
That is correct.
So this police study is not budgeted at all.
It was not in the original budget, and I apologize, but I don't recall how it was presented to the board, but I believe if the board approves to move forward on that proactively, that would come from capital reserves. And just please don't hold my feet to the fire on this. I know it's going to potentially come up later tonight as well. Right now, it looks like our capital reserves are about $400,000. The vast majority of that is residual money from the sale of the old police building to the North Shore Fire Department.
Well, yeah, because well, the other place where it says in that report that's going to be funded is from salary savings, but the salaries and wages for the police are at 49.1%. Like, I don't see any salary savings there. I guess we could talk about that when we get there, but my major point is that with the money from the sale of the police station or fire station, I mean, I don't want that to just disappear in little bits and pieces, you know. I mean, I'd like to have some sense of where that's going. So
I would agree with you completely, and I'm hopeful we'll have a good discussion on that in a few weeks when the 2021 budget comes out.
But I mean, it sounds like if our reserve is 400,000, that we've already accounted for some of that then, right? Well, I guess 37,000 is for this.
Yeah, there were a number of costs that we had to incur with the extended timeline on the transaction. There's some utility costs, some legal costs, but by and large, the 2020 budget took capital reserves down to like $4,000. So by and large, you know, that money is still intact, less some of the carrying costs that obviously we didn't originally envision with that transaction.
Okay, President Rozek, you need to unmute. I can't hear you.
Hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. I was just looking at the chart at the very beginning, and it talks about Duncan fees are down 25,000. Isn't there a correlating the fees for the software, or is that the fees that are correlated towards ticket citations? So like, person pays the fee on the lot, there should be a correlating revenue or something like that.
Right. All of our Duncan fees are based on activities. So as parking citations, fewer parking citations are issued, to a lesser degree, the parking permits, that means there's fewer fees charged for Duncan.
I apologize. Right, but the public pays for those, so it's really not a savings of 25,000 because we don't pay them, right? The Duncan fees are paid by the user when they pay.
Well, there's a You're kind of
Or is
breaking
this
up.
a
So
fee?
I'm gonna try to jump in here. That there is a component to the Duncan fees, a convenience fee when they're paying for parking citations online. But the largest component of the Duncan fees are for our police department's citation management process, and then the ability in the parking section to use the license plates readers to upload the permitted license plates for those who purchase permits so that they don't buy citations. So you're correct in the fact that there are some pass-through fees, but the part on the expenditure line items that you'll see in the budget, those are costs related to our operations.
That we paid. Okay. Thank you.
Can I
Yeah,
have a
go ahead.
So in regards to building permits, so it looks like building permits are relatively flat. Sorry, I'm just going back to try to find that. But then there was one really large building permit, and then did the school district pay, or have they already paid for their building permits for those renovations?
Yes, they
I was a
have.
little bit, okay, so
They hadn't drafted the report, but they have at this point.
okay, and do you know approximately what that was?
That'll be $150,000 of fees attributed to 2020.
So their fees,
It's the third bullet point on page 3, if you're looking for a quick reference.
Oh, but that's in here or not?
no.
Yes, that's in here.
Okay, that's in here. Okay.
Well, so wait, on page 3, that's where I'm looking. So it was saying the village received an $83,000 building permit in January, and then 150 for, it's 150 in total for the school district?
Those are the fees that are going to apply for 2020. Yes, they paid all of their fees already.
So, and maybe this is more of a question for Bart and his group, but the permit for a home on Lake Drive is 83. Significant construction work at 4 of the schools is 150.
Well, 150 for the construction that's going to happen in 2020.
But
And the other thing,
sorry, go ahead.
and the other thing, I'm sorry, just let me wrap that up if you
Yeah.
don't mind. The other thing that, because I had the same sense when I try to do that kind of comparative, but they're doing a lot of mechanicals work, which is under plumbing permits, electrical permits. Those permits are much less related to the cost of an item as it is to the number of items being replaced. So that's another reason why there's not quite as much as you might anticipate looking at what we all know to be a $50 million school renovation budget compared to a $6 million home. But we do have another $125,000 in fees that'll be coming in 2021, and I think about another $100,000 in 2022.
Okay, I mean, it's a $65 million project.
Is that what it was?
Yes. But I also, I thought, and maybe Trustee Menta or President Rosa could help me, I thought that they had pushed ahead a lot of the construction since there was no school from spring until fall. Maybe I'm wrong, but so I thought that they were doing more this year then, or maybe, I don't know. I wasn't really paying super close attention to
I mean,
it.
I'm basing my information from a construction schedule that the school district gave to the planning department on their various timelines as of about 30 days ago. So
Okay.
it may be a little old. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'll review that.
Okay, thank you. It just seems like kind of, I mean, I know you mentioned it as well. It just seems sort of counterintuitive that for such a large project, but maybe if it's over a couple of years that there's more in fees for permitting.
Charge
Yeah.
the school fees, permit fees? Like the fires, fire, can you,
No, we can't hear you very well.
hold on.
Need to get somewhere with better Wi-Fi.
Charge the schools?
Maybe try calling in on your phone.
Oh, God.
Well, I had a question while Allison's getting called in. Every budget has education, professional development expenses. I'm assuming that that's all stopped for the year. Have you had a chance to look through each budget and kind of pull that amount? I don't know what it is. I bet in total it's up to 100,000.
Well, we have started looking at that as in preparation for our projections that have come out with the operating budget in September. And in general, professional education is anywhere from 25 to 50% of what was in the budget. I don't have at my fingertips a total amount of professional education. But keep in mind, I think the biggest chunk of that's in the police department, and those are some statutory requirements that they're gonna try to make up on that. So I could certainly follow up with an email to the group on that information tomorrow. I can look that up and give you a little better sense for that.
Well, I guess when we have this number of 108,000, that's kind of a worrisome number, but then we're going to have, we will have some of that offset with grants. There's I think there's some savings that haven't, I guess I'm just kind of trying to get a sense of how worried do we need to be that we're 100,000 in the hole? Because it seems like there's
No, we're 100,000 to the good.
Oh, I thought we were 100,000 in the hole.
No.
Oh, okay,
No,
but that's
I
really
don't
because,
see that.
okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Please go ahead.
Okay, but I mean, actually we kind of lucked out because we had those 2 big permits. I mean, if we didn't have those 2 big permits, we'd have a problem. Oh, but so we're 100,000 to the good. Okay, that's great. Then I don't have to worry. Good. Okay, let's move on. No, to
That was
President
very
Rosette, did you have
Hi.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we charge the school? So bad. Okay.
Maybe mute your,
Computer.
okay, now you need to unmute yourself on Zoom. Oh God, we got to fix this before 7:30.
Yes, I understand. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we charge the schools permit fees? Because I know like with fire departments, sometimes we don't. Do we charge them permit fees?
Yeah, that's the
Yes,
150.
Hello.
Okay. Hi, come on in. Okay, so we charge them just like any other person applying for construction. And Trustee Carpenter, your point was, why is it not higher? Because we should be collecting all those permit fees during the summer months.
Well, my point was that we were charging for a home $83,000 in permitting fees, and we were charging the school district $150,000. And I would assume that the budget for the home on Lake Drive is probably a couple million. I think I know which home it is. But I know that the budget for all 4 schools is in total, and all of it is $65 million, which is what the referendum was for. So I just was wondering, it's a big difference, and Mark's kind of said the same thing, but that there are multiple points where there will be additional permitting fees being collected. So it's not the entire project's permitting fees at once.
Okay. I would really be interested in that too, because if, say you took, say they spent 20 million this year, because it has to be spent in 5 years, right? So that's a lot of permitting fees, I would think, a big chunk. I mean, if you're going off a total expenditure for a rehab or whatever, is that how we do permit fees? Do they go by percentage?
No, it's a little more diverse than that. Again, when you're doing construction, it's one rate, and that's based on cost. But once you get into all the mechanicals, the plumbing, the electrical, that's based on like how many light fixtures do you have. It has nothing to do with the cost, which is, again, why those don't seem to line up very well. And again, I just want to recap briefly that the $150,000, we've been paid more than that, but that's only for the work that's going to be done in 2020. So it's all that we can put on our books. It's an accounting principle. So, and again, we'll have another 125,000 next year and another 100 and some thousand a year after that as the construction project progresses through its phases.
Did we get any permits from the fire department? No, correct? We didn't get any fees?
Yes, we did.
We did, and how much were those?
I don't recall off the top. I'd be happy to look that up and send you a quick email though tomorrow.
That'd be fabulous. I just want to see the correlation between smaller construction projects from another municipal government.
Sure, I can do that.
Thank you. I have one other question, if this is appropriate time.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Trustee Menta had mentioned police overtime, and how I read it was it'll go back to normal, but we still should have a savings, correct? Like, it's not going to double to make up for the amount we saved.
Well, as I understand it, a large component of the overtime in the police department is due to coverage issues when the various officers are on vacation, and you have to maintain your coverages, so that results in overtime. So, I mean, clearly very few of the officers took any time off in the first half of the year. So we expect a disproportion of that to be hit in the second half of the year, but we do not expect to get to 100,000. It'll be something less than that. It's just a little hard to predict.
So if I'm understanding, you're expecting that you'll have an increase in the rate for the second half of people taking time off than normal.
Correct.
You're not going just back to normal, going up. Okay. Okay.
They're only at 38.6% of the total mid-year. But yeah, no, my question was that their salaries and wages were almost at 50%, but the deputy chief has been off for a while now. And the fiscal note for the police study references savings from his position. And just looking, it doesn't seem like there are any savings from his position, which is also odd. I mean, if he's been gone, well, I don't know. When did he? I know he's been gone at least a month.
I think his last paycheck was July 3rd.
Oh, okay. So it hasn't been that long.
Hasn't really shown up yet. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, is Trustee Ursink on the call? No. Okay. All right. Then does anybody have any further questions, or should we move on? All right.
Move on.
Okay. Go. Let's
Thank you, and I'll send you those follow-up emails tomorrow.
Okay. So I know this is the for the second or third year, we've gotten the capital asset inventory and vehicle inventory. Is there anything in particular you want to point out to us?
You know, not in particular, other than the fact that, you know, we had some conversations in years past about trying to improve our documentation on how we assess our vehicle fleet and how we determine when we want to replace different vehicles. And that was great feedback, because it's led to this document, which I think really gives everybody an opportunity to kind of take a look at where we're at, see the equipment, see the vehicles. It's been a helpful tool. And I think DPW is also believes it's been a helpful tool to really kind of look at, you know, what's coming based on a documented rating system, not quite so much intuition as maybe in, you know, 5 years ago. So, but it's informational. I'd like to share it. It leads into the budget cycle, but it's not part of the budget. But Joel puts a lot of work into this, as well as some of his staff members. So we'd like to make sure you have an opportunity to see the results of that work.
Can I ask which of the vehicles were the garbage trucks that we bought last year or the year before? Because I'm seeing this one on page.
The last 4 items on page 3, is it? With the mini schedule?
No, I'm looking at that, and I'm looking at the actual document, because like I'm looking on page 34. Oh wait, does it say when it was bought? No, year.
Truck
Oh,
71.
2018. Yeah, that's a 2018 truck, and we had to spend $6,352 in maintenance. I mean,
There's a lot of moving parts on those things. I believe some of that's with the hydraulic arms. If those have mechanical breakdowns or other needs, and again, that's a little anecdotal just through conversations I've had with DPW as I see those invoices being paid. But yeah, I think that's where that comes from, and unfortunately, it's not very customer friendly when it comes to repairing a heavy duty hydraulic arm to lift garbage cans.
well, and then this one too, it's on page 35, over $9,000 in maintenance, and it's a 2018 truck. I mean, that's not good.
Well, I can tell you, I know that
so
the vehicle maintenance software program they implemented a year and a half ago has some details on that. I'd be happy to put in a follow-up to Public Works to just share some more information with you on that as well, if you'd like.
Can I ask a question about that?
Sure.
Are those, I mean, 2018, I know that's two years old. Do those trucks not come with any sort of warranty?
I'm certain that none of those costs are warranty eligible. Again, they're on the apparatus, not so much the engine and powertrain of the truck.
I mean, I just, typically in a 2-year-old vehicle, I would assume that, this is just in my regular life experience, so I don't know that that is applicable to a DPW truck, but, I wonder going forward if we can understand what warranty is included throughout the entire vehicle. Because I would assume, that there's the hydraulic arm would be included in that warranty for, it was a pretty expensive truck, if I remember correctly.
Yes, they are.
And
I will ask DPW to provide a little supplemental information following the meeting today.
okay, yeah, I just would be interested to know what the warranties look like on those trucks and what's included.
Sure.
Thank you.
And I know there was I think there was training involved in how to use the arm. So maybe there was some you know, issues involved in figuring out how to do it. I don't know. All right, well, if there's no other questions, I'll,
One comment.
oh yeah,
Sorry.
go ahead.
I just, on the prior agenda item, I just wanted to commend the staff on the last page of that, and they're all RFP'd. I think this is finally complete. So I'm really proud that we have accomplished that within the last 4 years, and thanks to staff.
Accomplished what?
Professional service RFPs, the contracts, I think they've all been RFP'd. So within the last 4 years, I'm just proud of staff for getting that done.
Okay, great. All right. I will, I'll move to adjourn Budget and Finance Committee, and we can move